to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Now, if you know me and you know this channel, I'm usually one of the first people to just jump to make a video, but this was one of those very, very few videos that I wanted to sit back, listen to a lot of people's takes, and talk about Pokemon pack CT scanning, and I call it the X-rated debate, because it's a pretty funny thumbnail. But, no, I talked about it a little bit on one of my lives. Rattles really covered this in detail. He's had some good videos. I recommend you guys go and checking out Rattle's videos. But I've heard a lot of different takes on this. I've heard the extreme ends of both spectrum. One extreme, which is none of this matters. It's not going to affect the market at all. That's incorrect. And then the other extreme I've heard is this is the end of Pokemon. All products from here till ever will be scanned and everyone will know the hits. And that's not true. It's not an extreme on either end of the spectrum. It's not the end of the hobby, and it does matter. And in today's video, this is kind of like what I want to talk about, because I'm just going to let you know, for an area of this hobby, it's changed forever. We can never go back. The past is in the past now. And that's the problem. We are living in today, and this is not like a new conversation or a new debate. Maybe the CT scanning is really mainstream and a lot of people are having the conversation, but the conversation used to be just weighing packs. You got to remember, weighing packs, code cards didn't come out until black. Hold on, I think. This is when, shout out to old CTR Cool Trader Ryan. Do you remember these code cards? These are when code cards were still what Ryan calls S tier. Good artworks. They were, actually mattered for the set you're opening in. But the problem was with these old code cards, they all weighed the same. So people were still able to weigh out packs. Your first code card is black and white base. That's black and white base. Well, that's not black and white. That's Emergent Powers. But black and white base, your first code card comes in. And then Pokemon doesn't really do anything about the weighing issue until Breakthrough. Breakthrough, you got Breakthrough, Breakpoint, Fates Collide, Steam Siege, Evolutions. That's the end of XY. Those 5 sets. It took a long time. It took all the way to the end of XY, 2015 timeline, for code cards to start varying in weights, where it really became next to impossible to weigh modern packs. So the problem was, when you look at like a base set pack, there's 16 hollows in base set, but you could only pull 15 from base set because the Machamp is in the 2-player starter deck. So you only have an ability to pull 15. So that was at least what a heavy pack gave you. Now with CT scanning, all that does is eliminate that from chance of 15 different cards being in your pack to now it's being 1. This is the thing. A lot of people are worried because I think there's a morality issue that goes on in pack weighing, and I think there's a morality issue that goes on in scanning. And I think the reality is the people that are like the nefarious characters and the devious, people in this hobby, they will take advantage of this, and that is an unfortunate reality of this situation. But I think that the people that do good will be that much better. There's a lot of people out there that I know for a fact will not sell a pack without disclosing whether it's, light or heavy. And then for those people that you can trust to truly sell you a truly unweighed pack, those people are very, very few and far between. But those people that you can trust to buy truly unweighed stuff, you know who they are. They're your TCA Gamins. They're your big, box breakers. The people, your PokeRev. When PokeRev opens up a booster box on his stream, you don't even have to question whether or not those packs are weighed inside. You know with 100% guarantee that you're buying into a truly unweighed pack. And it's the same thing with TCA, and that's the thing. Those people all became super successful and super trustworthy after the days of you can weigh packs happen, because they are like the top of the mountain. And I think, unfortunately, with like CT scanning and X-rays, like, this is Pandora's box. It's been opened. If you know the story of Pandora's box, it let all the evil out into the world. Well, however you want to phrase this, I don't think it's the evil into the world. I just think now that Pandora's box is open, you just can't close it. You can't put it back in. So now it's just we're going to have to move a little bit in this hobby and just accept that there will become in the future certain products that you cannot buy without knowing for 100% certainty you're buying them from trusted sellers. But I think it helps those trusted sellers that much more, where you know for 100% certainty they're going to disclose to you whether or not something has been scanned. You know, there's a couple products out there that I think we need CT scanning for, and like one of those products is theme decks. So think about it. So for original WotC base set, you have 4 theme decks. Got the Overgrowth theme deck, Brushfire, oh my god, what I'm spacing. Brushfire, Knockout or Blackout, Overgrowth, and what's the other one? What am I missing? No Damage Ninetales is Brushfire, which you need to scan that. Mewtwo is Zap theme deck. Brushfire is the... Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, my mind's all over the place. But either way. What am I missing? Oh, I said the Blackout. I think I said them all, but then I just, like, as I went back through the list, I think I was forgetting some. But either way, you think about a product like a Brushfire theme deck. So if you don't know, Brushfire theme decks, no damage Ninetales. Super expensive, super sought after card. Shout out to old school Pokemon Nick. Nick has the largest no damage Ninetale collection in the world. I've seen it. I've been to his house. I've rifled through it. I looked at the PSA pop report. I think the PSA pop report at the time was right around like 128. And as I'm counting through Nick's, I'm like, Nick, you have half of the entire PSA pop report. I'm not talking in, well, there's only 110, but it's not officially on the pop report because it was graded before PSA started to acknowledge no damage Ninetales. But so the highest they have on the pop report's a 9, but the entire population, not just in 9s or 10s, the entire population is around 128. And Nick had over half of them. Like, Nick, you're a wild man. But one of the things is to open up a Brushfire theme deck. That's a very expensive thing to do, and the reality is you're not going to get the value back because it's no damage Ninetales or bust. Even if you have a guaranteed Shadowless Brushfire theme deck, guaranteed, there's a couple ways to know guaranteed Shadowless theme decks where the deck is placed, but most importantly it's the gold strip around it, and then whether or not the damage counters are rattling around in there. You can look on the back, you can look at the cards, you can see if it's all energies, if there's a Pokemon, you could kind of like understand timelines of these theme decks. But the only way to really truly know if it's a no damage Ninetales in that theme deck is you have to open it up and look inside. And if you're wrong, all you do is while you wind up with a Shadowless Ninetales, it's going to be damaged. There's going to be glue on it because back then it's not really a glue, it's more like a heat seal on the plastic, but it always gets on that front hollow. You're not going to get expected value opening a guaranteed Shadowless theme deck. You just don't. But if you had the ability to use a CT scanner, then that's where it makes sense. So I think there's a lot of products that exist in this hobby. Now, how good CT scanners are and how good the actual resolution you can get on some of this, when you think about the Zap theme deck, so Zap is the Mewtwo on it, but in the Zap theme decks, if you've ever seen like Ghost Stamp Pikachus, so Ghost Stamp Pikachus were first edition stamps that really shouldn't have been on there. They're like super faint, and those Ghost Stamp Pikachus first edition stamps were only available in Zap theme decks. If you can ever get the CT scanning good enough where you could actually go through that deck itself, because at that point the Mewtwo's your front card, you got to get pretty deep into it till eventually you come to your Pikachus. But now I don't know if the CT scanning's really there yet to see like non-textured of cards, whether it could really see ink. I've played around with their system a little bit, and it is pretty wild how easy it is to pull out the Charizard, because they give you like kind of a test run, or you can play around with the software a little bit and see what you can see. And once you go through it, so when you have a pack, you know, you have your normal XY, but now you're going into the Z axis of these cards. So you're literally able to just go through them and kind of like search through the cards. I could pull it up. I wasn't planning on it, but let's see. I can pull up their software. Let me open it. But this is not like this is not me on this chat too, like telling you guys that this is. I'm just telling you what I think. Like, I don't think we can go back at this point. I think where we are, we're just. I think this is just it. I think there's no going back. So this is the the program they provide you. You could just open the project. It loads up. I downloaded all the software because I was like, I gotta see it. I gotta see if this is user friendly, if this is possible. And they give you like a test scan you can look up. So when you pull up here, you can see like, so this is the pack. You can move this pack around. You could play with it, you know, in like a 3-dimensional area. This little bubble kind of like shows you where the scan is. Unfortunately, this is not a full pack. This is only like the top of a card. So actually, let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see it. So you zoom out. This right here, this is like the side view of your pack. And if you guys are used to looking at Pokemon, just by looking at this side view of this pack, you can already kind of tell if this is a heavy pack or not. And you can kind of already tell where the holo is. And then right here, this is where you could actually move through the pack. Let me zoom out a little bit here. So this is just the top half of the card, right? As you move this, well, you could actually, so right now I'm just using my scroll, but I can scroll through until right about, let's see, just watch right there. So as I scroll through, I'll move my head a little bit. Do you see right here? This is me scrolling through the different card layers. Now this green bar right here are the different cards where you can see it's really hard to tell like non-holo cards. So this is the second card in the pack, but you could even see the layers of cards. You can see the carbon layer in here. And you know, when I first looked at this, one of the things that's going to be very dangerous for like grading is going to be authenticity. Hopefully they never try to slap authenticity on any stuff, but if you look right here, you can very let me expand this out a little bit so you could see more. But you can very, very clearly see this Charizard. You can look in the pack. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see that it's the 4th card. You can see in the scan where the carbon layer is. You can see where the foil layer in is. This is not hard. This changes everything. This is just what and so first of all, I'm going to do something that I haven't really seen anybody do yet, but the name of the company is Industrial Inspection Consultant. You will never hear me refer to them as Industrial Inspection Consultant ever again. We got to give them an acronym, IIC. PSA grading, Professional Sports... PSA, Professional Sports Grading. Nobody ever refers to PSA as that. CGC, Certified Guarantee Company. No one ever refers to CGC as Certified Guarantee Company. SGC, don't even know what SGC stands for. Nobody refers to SGC as whatever that acronym is. BGS, I guess sometimes people refer to it as Beckett, but no one ever says Beckett Grading Services. I'm only doing acronyms. IIC is the name of this company, but I'm looking at it. Look at this. If you have to be blind to not see this, and the fact that you could rifle through. Now, this is the thing. this is a Celebrations Charizard. You can't really see the Celebration stamp. If this was a shadowless card, you know, you can't really see that ink layer. So that's where it's going to be tough. And then also where I thought it could be helpful is like figuring out 99 2000 packs to look at the holo, is because a lot of times with 99 2000 packs, you could have your regular cards be 99 2000, but then when you actually look at the date of the holo, it can just be 99, and then like that could be an issue. But where I think one of the big, and this is just scanning through, so again it's just playing through the layers of the cards, but you can see it on the scan. Like when I pulled this up for the first time, I instantly recognized where the holo was, and like instantly was able to just, and you're going through the card layer, that's what that green layer is, until eventually it just, the Charizard, it just screams at you. Listen, this is the unfortunate reality of the world we live in. Now, I do hope that like they reach back out to Rattle. I watched Rattle's video. I didn't like that they stopped talking to Rattle. I think Rattle, so for all transparency, Rattle reached out to me before they stopped talking to him. And Rattle asked me if I potentially want to like send him a booster box to kind of just look through the scans and like see what is possible and what is not possible. And I said, yeah, I'll send him a Evolving Skies booster box. But that conversation kind of ended. But I think it's the genie in the bottle. I don't think you could put it back in. I think the people that are mad, I think they want it put back in. And I just don't know how do you do it. And I'm going to play both ends of the spectrum. Like, IIC, they released that press release that said, we don't have any plans to monetize this service. This is more or less just a, I don't know, just an experience or experiment that they were doing to showcase their equipment. But they weren't planning on monetizing it. And for this video, I did a little research. I went on their website. On their website, they said because of this, they have a 17,200% spike in traffic to their website. 17,200% spike in traffic. If any of you guys work in businesses where you have to deal with like advertising companies, or you're trying to pay for Instagram ads, or you're trying to pay for Facebook ads, or you're trying to pay for whatever, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, however you're trying to get your brand out there, whatever your marketing campaign is, cost a fortune. No marketing campaign would ever be able to get somebody a 17,200% spike in traffic to their website. The crazy thing is for the most part, this company did that in a way organically. They didn't really pay for that. That was just organic foot traffic that made it to their website. They would be the dumbest company in the world to not monetize it. I know that's the hot take. People don't want to hear that. If they, I've looked at their website and like looked at the products they offered. If they did not monetize this, it would be dumb. Like, they would be dumb people. I don't have a better way to phrase it. I wish I could think of a better word except for dumb, but it would just be like moronic, idiotic, stupid. But they didn't do that. They monetized it, and I get it. Like, I understand why they monetized it. This is going to be a big thing for them. You will never be able to confidently buy first edition base set blisters ever again. And if you do, again, it's going to have to be from trusted sellers. The problem is, it's just the hobby has now changed. The people that said it doesn't matter, it was pretty funny, too, seeing a lot of egg on people's faces, how quickly the prices changed, too. A lot of people were like, listen, even if they were to put out this service, it would be hundreds of dollars, and really there's no packs that exist in this hobby that hasn't make sense for you to actually send. It's base set packs or bust at that point. And then very quickly, like overnight, IIC released their pricing structure, and it was super low. for what a lot of people thought they were going to see. They already have like bulk pricing ranges. This product is all about scale. If they scale this product, which I think it's the inevitability, I think that overnight their entire business model is probably going to change. And I can't even imagine the internal conversations this company is having right now of saying, what have we just got ourselves into? Their business is changing. And I bet you a week ago they were like, this isn't a thing. Oh, fast forward a week, their entire business has changed. I can imagine they're going to scale up. It only makes sense because the amount of interest they're getting right now has got to be wild. People submitting packs to them. So if you have a ton of people submitting packs to them, there's going to obviously be a very clear track for a business. And then they're going to scale this up. And in scaling, one of two things could happen. By scaling, they have to increase prices because they have to, buy more machinery, hire new people. That's one aspect. But another part of scaling is by scaling normally, you're able to call it that widget price down. They scale this to get the widget price down. What happens? Right now, pack rating is whatever. Call it $70. I know there's some prices lower, there's some prices higher, but let's just call it $70. You guys know Pokemon, I know Pokemon. We can sit here and we could name every single pack that's worth it to grade at $70. And that number of sets isn't crazy. But now, what if you can now get that price down to $20 a pack? Well, now that changes the entire conversation. The amount of packs that can now be scanned at $20 per pack is it's exponentially larger than what can be scanned at $75. What I think right now is the company's big issue is very similar to how PSA works. PSA, if you send in a $10,000 base set Charizard, you got to pay, that upcharge, especially if you get a higher grade. I think what you're going to end up seeing with this company, IIC, is I just think you're going to see like more, call it dynamic pricing. So you're going to see probably like a $200 minimum scanning for, certain WotC packs, and they'll probably just name them. Be like, these packs cost $200 to scan, because right now we're in a weird point with their pricing because they're too cheap for super expensive stuff. So super expensive being, heavy first edition base set. $75 a pack is so cheap in comparison to a $7,000 pack. But then they're too expensive for like a $70 flash fire pack, and I would say most packs fall within that $100 range. There's obviously your outliers, your examples, but then even your, call it mid-tier packs, so call it between $400 to $700. Well, when you have a $400 to $700 pack, $75 is still in a way too much. I think we would just end up seeing dynamic pricing. I think that's just like the future. I think, base set first edition, it's $200 a pack. And then by them doing that, raising the price for one pack but lowering the prices for other stuff, or maybe you just see timeline deals. If they could scale this, I could see $20 pack rate or pack rating. See, that's a problem. That's going to be tough for me to get out of my brain. Not pack rating, but pack scanning. I don't know. I'm not doing this in a way that I want to trigger a lot of people, because I feel like this conversation is very triggering. I'm just trying to do it from the most impartial way I can think, and just trying to look at it from both ends of the spectrum. From a business standpoint, how would I have done this? And the answer is, from a business standpoint, if I own this equipment, did this as a test, and then I saw a 17,200% spike in traffic to my website, you bet your ass I'm gonna take advantage of it. So I think that is the problem, is especially with companies like this, it's real early on is going to be where they have to have the most transparency. I think it's going to have to be the point where they need to just get ahead of everything. And I think that the simple conversation to be had is, yeah, we said we weren't initially interested and invested in this or using this technology for Pokemon cards, but then we realized it would be detrimental to our entire business model that we've built to not do this. I think that's the truth. I don't know how else to phrase this. I try to think about it if I owned stock in this company. Don't know if this is a publicly traded company, probably not. But I think about it as if I was an investor in the company. And obviously, if you're an investor in the company, you're not sitting on the board, but maybe you call in for the stockholder meeting and you just listen in on the phone. And I can't even imagine the thought that would go through my head if, like, the CEO or the whoever was just talking on the call, and and you're like, oh man, the stock's not really doing great this month, and you're like, let me call in on this, stockholders meeting, and then the guy says, this month we had a 17,000% foot traffic or organic traffic to our website to scan Pokemon cards, something we can do. But yeah, we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep trucking along doing what we've been doing. I can't even imagine. So, like, I try to look at it from that way. So I do understand why they're doing this. And I think the hardest part for this, too, especially early on, for a new company like this, is going to be trust factor. They are really, 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 really going to struggle with trust. PSA has been around since 1993. PSA has graded Mickey Mantle rookie cards, Honus Wagner cards, PSA 10 first edition Charizards, Michael Jordan rookies, Wayne Gretzky rookies, the highest end of TCGs, the highest end of sports, and everything in between PSA has graded. And still to this day, I hear people saying, I'm afraid to submit to PSA because what if they swap out my cards? And then I've also seen people send at bulk, yes, B-U-L-K, I said bulk. I've seen people send to bulk, bulk submissions to PSA and get their grades back, and their grades were lower than they expected on bulk submissions. Cards that should be valued at sub $200. They get their bulk submissions back, and the condition of their cards is quote-unquote not what they sent, and that they felt that their cards were swapped out at PSA at bulk. I'm not saying this they might hear it. You might hear me saying that and being like, no, that's not true. No, I promise you. People are afraid to send to PSA because they're afraid their cards are going to get swapped out. And that is a card company I just told you grades Honus Wagner's and Wayne Gretzky's and Michael Jordan's and first edition Charizards and Babe Ruth cards and Mickey Mantles and you name it. And people are worried people are swapping out their bulk. This company has a uphill battle when it comes to stuff like that. And I don't really have perfect examples of like how companies like this could build trust. Because I think like a first edition, I think a lot of people think of this application going strictly the Pokemon. So first edition base set heavy packs. Well, what happens if they scan my pack and there's a Charizard in there, but they just replace it with a heavy first edition pack that has a Poliwrath? People are going to think that. I'm just going to be honest with you, and I mean this truthfully, and I could be wrong. This is not a hill I'm willing to die on, but I don't see that being a worry. I don't think that this company is going to be able to, one, have the knowledge and know it all. How? Because first of all, if you're sending your heavy pack, first edition heavy base set packs still have varying weights in grams. So let's say you got a heavy pack, it's 21.65 grams. Well, if they send you back a Poliwrath, they're not going to be able to one-to-one send you back a 21.65 gram pack. They're going to have to send you back like a 21.74 pack. You're going to be like, the weights are different. I don't think that is an issue, but the problem is the only way that a company like IIC grows is time. It's just time. Early on is when they have to build their reputation at the beginning. When you think about CGC in the graded game, CGC, their best ally for them was, one, when they started grading cards. You got to keep in mind, CGC opened up as a company in July of 2020. The pandemic happened earlier that year in March. The Logan Paul first edition box break happened in October 2020, and then the craziness, which was the pandemic and Pokemon, was the end of 2020. CGC was perfectly positioned to be a huge player in the graded card game, bigger than they were, because also at that exact same time, in February of 2021, PSA threw their hands up and said, we are no longer accepting trading cards or sports cards. We have shut down accepting new cards for grading because their backlog got over 1 million cards. And CGC was still open. They opened in July. Fast forward to February the next year, we are talking a 9-month timeline from when they opened the door till when PSA said, we're not accepting cards anymore. CGC became one of the only players in the game, one of the only shops left open. Shout out to Professor Oak for the sneeze. But CGC wasn't able to capitalize because they just internally weren't able to handle changing market pressures. They had a real questionable grading scale at the time. They had their highest grade, which was the Perfect 10, hidden behind a paywall. And CGC was on different message forms. Like, they ended up getting blocked from E4 because there was, like, CGC paid shills, like, shilling their service in E4. And they had to literally block the CGC accounts because they were just writing fake stuff. CGC shot themselves in the foot really, really bad. So then they should have just been exorbitant all this market share from PSA for a long time. But they changed their grading scales again. Well, the first time they changed it, this is all my opinion, the first time they changed it was unofficially, and then officially they changed their grading scales, changing all 9.5s, turning them into 10s, changing the label, lost brand identity. A lot of things compounded all at like the same times on CGC when they should have came out and been a behemoth in the graded trading card space. They ended up coming out worse than they went in. And you can look at the submissions. If you take away Omega Mystery products and stuff, a lot of those have really inflated CGC numbers. You remove those cards graded, CGC is not doing great. And then they just let their competition, PSA, after PSA came back, they reopened the doors. PSA has taken back all the graded market that they lost out on while their doors were closed. PSA has higher resale value for cards. A lot of things compounded against CGC, and that's a lot of that is that real early on stuff. Hopefully, IIC can just do the opposite. It's going to take time, though. Consumer confidence in a product like this is going to take time. I think a lot of people, this channel especially, we are definitely super focused on the Pokemon aspect and TCGs, but as I mentioned some other sports, there will not be a single Topps 1952 sealed pack left in existence that has not been scanned. If you ever just go on eBay right now, type into your search bar and type in 1952 and a random number of that set. That random number 1952 card is going to be worth like $5. $4, and a lot of that is just people trying to be set collectors. When you scan a pack like 1952 Topps, it's Mickey Mantle or real. I shouldn't say that. It's not just Mickey Mantle or bust, but Mickey Mantle just has so much more value than everything else. People look at Pokemon and they see the Charizard and they think that is extreme. 1952 Topps is the extreme of extremes. You got to keep in mind, a PSA 10 first edition Charizard is worth around $240,000 in a 10 on a good day. Realistically, right now, today, current sales of PSA 10s, unfortunately, are selling for like between $170 and $180 for a PSA 10. So I'm giving you the best case scenario is you get a higher end sale of $240, which we haven't seen that in a couple years. A PSA 10 Mickey Mantle, which only one of exists, I think the last time it sold was like in 1996 or 1997. But current estimates for that Mickey Mantle in a PSA 10 is $12 million. Like, it's a huge multiplier. So they'll probably, every single 1952 Topps pack will eventually be graded, because the expected value that is in a pack like that, I mean, and if you ever look at 1952 Topps, the set list is massive. I mean, and these were 5-cent packs. I think you get, like, I'm not a baseball expert, but I think it's like 5 cards per pack out of a set that had hundreds of cards. Your odds of pulling a Mickey Mantle are minuscule, if not close to zero, So, all those packs will get scanned. When you look at, I forget the set, it's a 1979 Wayne Gretzky. They just found that sealed case. But the Wayne Gretzky rookie, you're going to have people scanning all those packs because it's Wayne Gretzky or bust. 1988 Flair, like the Jordan, a lot of those wax packs, because you got to keep in mind, wax packs, you know what one of the cards is. You're able to see through the package, and at least maybe you could identify two. I think maybe you could identify the front card and back card, but you can't really see through those wax packs, and even that gets real questionable. But now anybody have sealed wax packs of 88 Flair, if those could be scanned again, it's going to be tough, because I don't know about like the texture stuff, but it's not just Pokemon. It's not just the Pokemon hobby that has been changed. It's every trading card hobby has changed. Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic is going to get tough too, because keep in mind, like 1993 Magic came out, all your Power 9, Black Lotuses, and all that stuff, that's all non-holo. So if they could figure out a way to read these non-holo cards, it's going to affect all that too. Until eventually Magic did get holos, and now one-of-one serialized cards. Modern sports, I just think it's almost impossible to... You can't put the genie back in the bottle. Like, I know people don't want to hear this, but this is just the hobby we live in now. There was a lot of people, like, put their head in the sand and said you couldn't weigh packs, or you don't want to weigh packs, and stuff like this. It's just, we are just moving into the future. Where I mentioned it earlier in today's video, I am really nervous about IIC. I just hope they stay completely away from the word authentication. They should not be authenticating anything. First of all, to have a card in hand, it's hard enough to authenticate that card. While I told you could see the carbon layer on this and stuff, and it definitely helps, to not be able to hold the card in hand, to see the texturing, to see the print quality, to like really, really get a good understanding in person. What my fear is, when you think about something that we've never seen happen before. All right, I'm going to give you a scenario. You got a first edition base set pack, right? Guaranteed light pack. You know it's a light pack. So you open it perfectly so you don't rip any of the foil, and it's just a clean, open base set pack. All right? First edition, you had a light pack. You can go out on the market right now today and pick up a PSA 7 first edition Charizard for $7,000. That's about what they sell for, and that's like buy it now. But I think I remember seeing a sale on, what are we, July 30th? I think on the 21st I saw a PSA 7 sell for like $6,800. So let's say you bought that PSA 7 first edition Charizard for $6,800. You take that Charizard, you put it into this first edition pack, and you resale it. The conversation and people have already done that with polyraths, because if you have a heavy first edition pack, you still have that huge premium. So what people did was they took literally the least expensive card in base set, and they put it in the pack, and they sell it for that heavy premium, because somebody's hoping if they open that pack, they pull the Charizard. And there's other people who are like, well, why would they put a holo in there? Why wouldn't they just put, G.I. Joe cards in it? Well, you can't put G.I. Joe cards in it because, one, it's unrepeatable for the person doing it, and then number two, you destroy your reputation. you can never get it back. Look at all the people that did the fake G.I. Joe cases. Look at all the videos Rattle did. And then the third thing, which is the most scary and the most important of the people that resale packs with the cards that should be in the set, is because of that 2 words, plausible deniability. And they're like, I didn't know. Why would I resale it with a hollow if I was trying to resale it? Why would I do that? We're now going to run into the first time where it never made sense to put the first edition Charizard in that pack. We might run into a scenario in which now you can see a heavy first edition pack get scanned and have a scan that goes along with it that shows the first edition Charizard in it. I don't even know what the bidding for that pack would go to. And what happens is now people will see the scan and they will just instantly assume that that scan means authenticity of the pack, meaning that pack was not tampered with. And now that pack has a guaranteed Charizard in it. And people are going to look at that Charizard and they're not going to... Because keep in mind, PSA 7 is a near mint card at PSA. And then another thing too is, as long as you have that light pack and you remove the rare and you replace it with that Charizard, all the rest of the cards in that pack are clean. And you got to keep in mind, you have different sheets. You have your common sheets, you have your uncommon sheets, and then you have your hollow sheets. So even if your Charizard comes right out of a pack and it's a PSA 7, which does happen because you're talking 1999 WotC Wizard of the Coast print quality on some of these older cards, you can't even say, well, this was all cut off the same sheet, because the commons came off one, the uncommons, and then the hollows was a separate sheet, and been like, this is an unfortunate cut. But it had the Charizard, so people are going to bid on that. With the absolute worst case scenario is it gets an 8, but nobody's going to do that. They're going to bid on it with this huge premium. So now you're going to have somebody opens a light pack that's worth $3,000-$4,000, puts an $7,000 card in it. It's all into that pack for $11,000. And then I bet you see this guaranteed heavy Charizard first edition base set pack break all-time sales and sells for like $50,000 because people are going to chase that PSA 10 chase. It's just because you got to think, if a heavy pack with a 1 out of 15 chance sells for $7-8 grand, what does the guaranteed Charizard pack sell for? That would be this has never been even an issue. Like, this would never have existed in the past. When somebody does a repack, they're not going to repack it with the Charizard, but now you're going to run into a timeline where I doubt anybody's done that yet, but it now becomes a question of what if, It's an unheard of scenario, which has never even been needed to be spoken, but now it becomes a real possibility with a service like this. That's why I just hope IIC, whatever they do not attach the word authenticity with the product that they're offering. Because it's just, you're opening up way too many, and I mentioned it earlier, I could see the carbon layer. That really feels good. What I want to see now is I need to see what a pack with fake cards in it looks like. Because I could already tell looking at this, maybe I'll bring up the scan again so you guys can see it. Looking at this scan, maybe you guys are not super familiar with 3D processing software, but this is the pack. You can see on the backside right here. So this is the crimp of the pack. So you're looking at the backside, and now you can move it in a 3D image. Now this isn't a perfect rectangle, and if you look, this card is only the top half. So hold on. I'm still playing around with this software, still trying to figure it out. So, oh wait, it's because I have my screen cropped weird. That's why I can't see it. Hold on. There we go. So this is just the top half, and you can see on the card. So if you follow my cursor, it's right on the Charizard. You can see you got this weird, call it a V shape at the bottom. So you're only looking at the top of it, but if you look on the backside, you can see the crimp. And now this bar right here is what you can see, like where you are at in the pack. So if you're looking at my cursor right now, this green bar is it. And you could even see like the change in hollow foil on the pack itself. It sticks out a lot, and especially hollow foils for base set, they're going to have a bend to them. It's just a naturally occurring bend that happens in packs because the packs themselves actually like warp, or sorry, the cards themselves warp in the pack. And so for older cards, you're actually going to be able to even identify the warping that much more in this side view, until eventually you just keep scrolling until you got to keep in mind. So what these are, what you're looking at, you're scrolling through is slices. So slices of a 3D image, and these different slices, like whatever they're using as the measurement of their slice thickness, I don't know exactly what they're, you know, it's not even millimeters, it's fractions of a millimeters, like what they're using for their slice thickness. And I don't know with this program if I can change the slice thickness or not, but I mean, you can see it. I just scanned through this pack real time and look at this Charizard. There's not a person that's deep down in this hobby that can't look at that image right below me right now and say that that is not a Charizard. Even as so right now I'm just kind of moving through the layers, and you can see like all the cards above it don't have texture. So I'm moving, and if you follow this green, I'm moving through on the z-axis of this pack of cards. I mean, this is where I would want to be able to like play on the back end of this system. Like right here, am I seeing images of cards or not? See, this is why it's going to be super important to have set lists for some of like these TCGs, so you could really identify like what you're looking at. Yeah, it's just too tough until eventually you get to that hollow, but I think it's just because of the hollow is different. And that's another thing, is that IIC is going to have to really express that, I think, to the client, that you can't see every card in the pack. I think right now everybody's who sends away their first edition base set pack, I think that they're just instantly assuming like, okay, if I have a Red Cheeks first edition Pikachu, I'll be able to see the Red Cheeks Pikachu. If I have a Squirtle, if I have a Charmander, if I have a Bulbasaur, if I have any of the, you know, starter commons or stuff like that, they're going to want to send those away and be like, okay, well, at least I will instantly know, even in my light packs, do I have some value there? Because while there's not a lot of value in light first edition packs, you know, those big are the starters: Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and then still call Pikachu a starter, even though it's not red or blue starter. It's still starter from Yellow and starter from the TV shows. But, you know, I don't know if people really understand that they can't see the non-textured cards yet. But I think they're just scratching at the surface too. This is one of those weird things too, where I think this technology is so new that it's just on the precipice. We're almost at that tilting point, and if they can change, and like that's the same thing with booster boxes. Booster boxes, that's a lot of cards in it. So, you know, you got 36 packs, 10 cards per pack at a minimum. That's 360 packs per card. Now, do 360 cards matter for whatever the most modern set is? Twilight Masquerade? No. 360 cards does not matter for Twilight Masquerade. But now, let's say you have a box of Skyridge. Skyridge, every single card in Skyridge has value. Here. I got a box. This is all Skyridge right here. Look, what is this card? Random card. Look at that. Non-hollow Fortress in a PSA 9. Guess what? It's got value to it. Let's pull out a comment. Oh wait, hold on. Here we go. Here's a reverse hollow mystery plate. Number 135 out of 144. This card is a PSA Pop 6 and a PSA 10. I got in a bidding war on PWCC and ended up jacking this card up to $128 for an uncommon mystery plate from Skyridge. When you get a box of Skyridge and you have the most unsought after card that could potentially exist in the entire set. I mean, there's not much less desirable cards than a mystery plate trainer from Skyridge. Still cost $130 for a reverse holo. I mean, when a product like that, then if you had your entire booster box and you could really, really map it out, individual cards, and then Skyridge again, non-holo rares. You think about, so Skyridge has 32 holos in it, H1 through H32. But then each one of those holos comes in reverse holo, or sorry, each one of those holos comes in a reverse holo. But then also the rares are also non-holo rares. So you have 32 holos for those, you have 32 reverse holo for those, and then you have 32 non-holos for those rares. And those non-holos, like a we're gonna pull out the non-holos. Let me look. So here's a different. Hold on. Pull out all the rares, but like, I'll show you. Like a Flareon. This Flareon is a non-holo rare. It comes in reverse, it comes in holo, but just in the rare, it's still an expensive card. Another evolution, the Jolteon. Non-holo rare, still, these are like $100 cards for the non-holo. There is a ton of value in a set like that, where if you could scan through the box, you want to know all 360 cards. Like, that's going to be an interesting thing that they're going to have to deal with too, is if they could get their price point low enough for people to scan modern, like what is the scan gonna offer? And then if they do have a scan ability where you can then individually identify every single card, but maybe the scan process is a little bit longer, like, I'll be interested to see the evolution that IIC goes through. And what I mean by the evolution is, are they going to have the service where it's just what we're looking at on the screen right now, where it's holo or bust? Because this processing is probably pretty easy for them. I don't know, but I'm going to guess. And then in the future, will we now see another service offering where it's not just the textured card, it's every card, but maybe that process now doubles their scan time, or maybe triples their scan time, or maybe requires a different piece of machinery or something, you know? And then will that service to get a better scan of all 10 cards now cost a different price? You know, I'll be interested to see how all this plays out in the future, because, you know, at the end of the day, what they're now providing is like, these are their widgets. They're providing a widget, and, you know, this is the thing too, is there are going to be people out there that you're going to have to download the software, you're going to have to interpret the data. It's going to be tough for some people. I think there's going to be barriers of entry for a lot of this stuff. I just don't know if everybody's going to want to download it, and it'll be interesting, guys. We are running into a weird timeline, and I don't think it's a negative. I know a lot of people want to hear me say, like, this is the end of Pokemon, this is the doom and gloom. I can't do it. I just think that this is the world we now live in. We went to bed a week ago and this wasn't an issue, and here we are, fast forward a week later, and everything has changed. It's all about scaling at this point for them. I don't think IIC has any clue the demand that this is. I don't think they have any clue, like, how cutthroat the Pokemon hobby is too. Can you imagine jumping into the Pokemon hobby? I know, you know, I'm talking to you, you know. Everybody watching this video knows how cutthroat this hobby is on the deepest end of the spectrum which we live in. To try to navigate this hobby on the highest end has to be the most daunting thing. I mean, there are some real savages out there when it comes to this hobby. But I don't know. I think the problem is, I think just so many people want to have it just not be a thing anymore. Does that make sense? Like, they hate it. They hate the thought of it. They think that their sealed product collection is dead. No, it doesn't mean anything. I think they just want it to be dead. They want it to not be a thing anymore. And I'm telling you, I don't think we can just never go back. It's just moving on. You know, people are saying, well, Pokemon might start to understand that this technology exists, and they might start to implement stuff into their packaging which doesn't allow CT scanning. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for a lot of people, but Japanese wrapping still doesn't have Pokeballs on it. Yes, Japanese booster boxes, added the pull tab, and you could just open the box from the side. Japanese product doesn't have Pokeball on the wrapping. Pokemon knew about pack weighing for a decade, and it took them close to a decade and a half to even truly make a change. I mean, Pokemon knows about all the shitty things we go through as Pokemon collectors. Look, we talk about the Greninja all the time from Twilight Masquerade. Why is a Greninja a $700 card? Because print quality that Pokemon is putting out right now, thanks a lot Media Factory, or not Media Factory, wow, who prints Pokemon cards right now? It's, whatever. That, a Millennium Print Group. Thanks a lot, Millennium Print Group. Millennium Print Group is still printing out poor enough print quality and, edges on cards that we can't even get Greninjas in PSA 10s. That's why right now the Greninja PSA 10 is floating right around a 30% Gem Mint 10 rate. That's coming off of another big chase when you look at the Moonbreon from Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies had an 80% Gem Mint 10 rate, and here we are at a 30%. Pokemon still isn't getting print quality down under wraps. So the fact that people are thinking that they're going to somehow put some sort of packaging where CT scanning isn't a thing, I think that is kind of a pipe dream at this point. And even if it did, we still have 25 years worth of packs and products that are searchable. I don't know what to tell you. The hobby moved. It moved in a direction that some people don't like. We're there. I don't know. So I'll tell you what I did, though. I reached out to IIC. I sent an email to, they're one of the partners there, and I asked them if they could come on for an interview. And I'm really, really fingers crossed hoping that I could get them on here. Because I think that it's so important right now for us to ask them the tough questions. Get all the answers. And I feel like I already know the answers, though. I asked, and I'm going to tell you the questions I'm going to ask. Why'd you put out the press release that said we're not going to, we're doing this as a test to highlight the technology? And I already know the answer. It's what I just told you. We got a 17,000 spike increase to our website, and we thought we could make a lot of money on this. I think that's the answer. Did anybody out there think that's not the answer? Raise your hand at home. But I'm hoping we get him on. I got a maybe. So he said he's been busy. He's had a lot of news people. But, I've been able to bring on Nat Turner, President and CEO of PSA, and we were able to get a lot of transparency out of PSA. And I think the problem is with a company like this is I want to talk to one of the partners, one of the owners, because I want to hear it from him. I want to hear what their plans are, what their goals are. And is it the death of the hobby? I don't think it's the death of the hobby. I think it's very important to just get people and ask the questions. And I'll ask him the question, you going to put this genie back in the bottle? And I have a feeling that he's going to say, no. We're going to make money because this is the business we are in. I don't know what to tell people. I've ran around this scenario in my brain so many times. So now the question is, how do you mark these packs, or how do you, prove it in a way that people now know it's been scanned? And I've ran through that scenario a million times in my head. They cannot be in the business of damaging people's property. I know that's crazy too. I have no clue how they could identify these packs as being scanned without damaging people's product, like property. A lot of people out there do sealed product plays, and speaking of modern booster boxes, I have to double box modern booster boxes when I ship it to somebody who's like not a friend, because I'm afraid they're going to tell me that like some of the plastic wrapping has a small pinhole in it for modern booster boxes. What are they going to do for first edition base set packs? What, are you going to cut the corner off of it? No. Nobody's going to let them cut the corner off their first edition pack. Or what are they going to put? Tamper-proof seals on their sealed product collection? You look at PWCC. PWCC's booster boxes don't get a premium because PWCC opens those booster boxes to verify the packs inside. And it limits an entire buyer. Well, I shouldn't say they don't get a premium. Is they limit an entire buyer pool because sealed product collectors aren't buying from PWCC. The people buying those PWCC booster boxes right now are the rippers and the shippers, because they don't care if a booster box has tamper-proof seals on it, because they're going to open it on eBay Live or they're going to open it on whatnot. So they don't care about that. The normal sealed product collector, you want to look at. Go look at PokemonCenter.com and look at how many people complain that their Pokemon Center ETBs didn't have like enough bubble wrap in it, or that they had a slit in the plastic. And people were like, now there are literally, and I mean this, there are people out there that when they have a ETB that has a, because one of the very dangerous things some people do is when you're opening a lot of booster boxes, when you have your razor blade, you cut right along that stop tape, but you cut just a little bit too deep, and you don't cut the box, you just really, really cut the plastic, just that razor blade slice down the top of some people's ETBs. And there are people who have gotten their Pokemon Center ETBs of literally the most modern possible set. And I've seen people comment, this ETB is now worthless to me. And we were talking like modern. How do they handle putting tamper-proof seals on $7,000 base set packs, or Sky Ridge booster boxes, or, Gym Challenge first base set, Jungle, Fossil, base set 2, Team Rocket, Gym Heroes, Gym Challenge, Neo Gen, Neo Discovery, Neo Rev, Neo Destiny, Legendary Collection, Aquapolis, Sky Ridge, EX Ruby Sapphire, Sandstorm, EX Dragon, Team Aqua versus Team Magma, Hidden Legends, Fire Red Leaf Green, Team Rocket Returns, Deoxys, Emerald. Can you put tamper-proof seals on any of those? Like, think about it. Keep going. Crystal Guardians, Harlem Phantoms, Dragon Frontiers. Like, you can't. Power Keepers, any Diamond and Pearl stuff, you can't fuck with people's sealed product. You can't do it. I don't know how they could put tamper-proof seals on it and not destroy their business. I'm trying to look at it as objectively as I can. And they cannot mess with people's sealed product. You just can't do it. There's like cardinal, unbreakable rules in this hobby. And that is one of them. Somebody trusts you with their sealed first edition booster pack, or sealed first edition blister pack, or sealed first edition booster box. You cannot start messing with it. And that's the problem, because that allows the scammers to exist. Because the scammer will send their product, and however they send it, in a bag with a tamper-proof seal. They scan through the bag and they get it back, and they get their first edition pack and they see the scan and it's a polygraph. Shit. Well, this information now has to die with me. They rip it out and then they just sell that base set pack as a heavy pack, because that heavy pack is going to sell for probably a premium over a guaranteed scan polygraph pack. how do you prevent those scammers? I think that's the question that like Opossum Bud was throwing out there. I think that's a question Rattle was putting out there, and you're looking at the wrong guy. I've brainstormed this for a long time. One of the things I was thinking was like in a PSA slab. So here's a black light. Here's a PSA slab. When you shine this black light on this PSA slab, you have, like the PSA logos that only come up under a black light. Could they start writing on these packs with, in like ink that's only visible with a black light? But then, listen, Rattle today made a video talking about Pokeflute. Pokeflute was taking Sharpie signatures off of Pokemon cards in a video today. Rattle made a video exposing it. The unfortunate reality, again, is if somebody can take Sharpie off of a Pokemon card, regrade that with PSA, and PSA can't tell that that card was altered by having literally the signature altered, so Sharpie removed off of a card, by, the way Pokeflute was he was doing like the dry erase trick with a Q-tip and got the Sharpie off that way. If they can do that with a Sharpie on a card, I don't think invisible ink on a pack or a booster box stops anybody. I feel like that is just a layer, but that won't mean anything. I feel like people will just figure out a way. How do you remove, invisible black light ink off of a base set pack? That will be a video on YouTube. I don't know. I don't but these are challenges. So that's why I unfortunately come to the scenario of right now I don't think there is an answer. And I think a lot of people's answer just keeps going back to let's just hope it goes away. It's not going away. We're past that. We're not. It's the go away thing, and that's not going to happen. This is the hobby. That's why I waited to make this video. I want to get all my thoughts through. I want to think through the scenarios. And now we have to hope a couple things happen. And then this is where I'm most uncomfortable, is putting my trust in other people. This is where we now have to trust that, the respected sellers keep staying respected. We have to hope that the hobby keeps not buying from the unrespected sellers. This is where we have to hope that IIC could, make a name for themselves in this hobby and be an industry leader, to challenge them. We have to challenge them as a company. Challenge them to do big things. Like, I don't know. I don't have a perfect answer to that. I think that's the hardest one for this whole scenario, is that I think people are just afraid of the scammers. I'll give you an example. So last year Pokemon printed 9 billion cards. 9 billion cards are not going to get scanned by IIC too. So that's where the over dramatization happens. So there's too much drama where now everybody's going to be like, I bought this booster box from Pokemon Center, and I think Pokemon Scanner CT, I think Pokemon Center CT scanned this. That's where people are going to start to have those conversations, and it's not going to be like that. As long as you're buying from trusted sellers, we will be fine for a lot of this stuff. It's just getting down the line, that's where it's going to be more questionable, and as product eventually rises in value over time, that's where more issues are going to be happening. I've seen a lot of weird takes where people were saying team up booster boxes are not worth it to be scanned. And they're like, let's say you scan a team up booster box, because when you scan a team up booster box, you're only going to open it if there's a big hit in there, right? Team up has a bunch of big hits in it, but let's just say you're only looking for the Latios, right? You have 36 packs in a booster box. So right now, team up booster boxes are sitting right around $2,300. So let's just see. So you got $2,300. If you have the Latios, it's like a $700 card raw, PSA 10, big money, right? So if you had that Latios in there, it's modern set, modern print quality, you're probably going to break it open, try to grade that. You now have 35 other packs that maybe you have some full art. There are some full art hits. Blastoise Piplup, the Sungala's in there. There's the Red's Challenge is in there. Red and Blue's in there. Oh, wait, no, that's Red and Blue and Red's Challenge. That's Cosmic Eclipse. But either way, Team Up still has some decent cards in it. So now they take out those and then they just sell the loose packs of Team Up. Team Up loose packs are still $50 a piece. So assuming you're selling 35 loose Team Up packs, that's still $1,750. So I think that's like the problem people are going to run into too. But who knows how much it's going to cost for booster box grading. There's a lot of conversations that will be had. But I think the weird thing too is everyone keeps instantly going to modern. I think the fear does have to lie right now a little bit more with the vintage stuff. I think the price point doesn't really make sense yet for modern. But right now, so here we are. Team Up came out in, let's see. So Team Up came out in 2018. So 2018 to 2024. That was 6 years. That booster box went from $100 in 2018 to $2,400 in 6 years. What's to say that that booster box isn't worth $5,000 in another 6 years? So assuming that set's now 12 years old, is it possible for that to be a $12,000 booster box? I lean towards probably not, but I also lean towards it's not going to be a $2,400 booster box in 6 years. But now if it's a $5,000 booster box, then does it become worth it to be scanned? That's the thing about this hobby. I told you, there's only one person in the history of this hobby that is undefeated, and that is Father Time. Time in this hobby conquers all. Time in this hobby defeats all. Nobody beats Father Time in this hobby because time after time, minute after minute, second after second, day after day, year after year, this hobby has just shown the strength of this hobby and prices to just continuously go up on a lot of this stuff. So, see, Cardboard I just real quick looked at the chat. Cardboard Collector, see, this is like I never thought about this too. He said, guaranteed Latios becomes a $4,000 to $5,000 box for the $5,000 box for rip and shippers. This is another like dichotomy we've never seen. Imagine rip and shippers that can now guarantee a certain hollow hit in their break, meaning they get their booster box scanned. So let's say they get here's a perfect example. So shout out to Rusty TCA Gaming. The booster box that there was a second ever base set booster box that it was the second ever base set booster box that Logan Paul broke. So the first one he sold packs for $11,111. The second box break he sold packs for $30,000. But there was like weird crypto things and stuff. But anyways, the booster box he opened for that live stream was opened up by TCA Gaming. Rusty verified because he was. The scary thing about first edition boxes is it has clear cellophane wrap. Real questionable whether or not it's repacked, whether it's authentic. Shout out again, Logan Paul, the case was all fake. But Rusty opened his, verified it, put his tamper-proof seals on it, and sold that box to Rusty. I don't think we ever heard official dollar amounts, but we know it was like greater than $300,000, Rusty. Potentially, who knows? It was a lot. We could kind of just ballpark it off of his other sales. But when he opened Rusty's booster box, it had 2 first edition Charizards in it. Because like I told you, there's 15 different cards you're going to be able to potentially pull out of base set. A base set booster box is more or less going to guarantee you 12 heavy packs at a minimum. We've seen some boxes with 11. We've seen some boxes as high as 14 hollows in it. But for the sake of this conversation, 12 hollows are going to be guaranteed for that base set booster box. And it's very, very, very common for duplicates to be in booster boxes. And the booster box that Rusty sold to Logan Paul happened to be a duplicate, and it happened to be the best duplicate out of them all, which was 2 first edition Charizards in that box Logan Paul broke. Now, what is the premium if you can scan that box and sell packs for a live break, but now you can guarantee that in your live break, you're also going to have 2 Charizards be pulled. It makes the price of those packs even that much higher, because you got to keep in mind, while people are buying into those breaks, while Logan Paul got lucky that the box Rusty sold him had 2 Charizards in it, it also didn't have some hollows in it, because there was 2 Charizards and there's only 15 possible pulls with 12 packs. You're guaranteed not to pull some of the hollows. So if you open up a base set booster box, you are not guaranteed to pull a Charizard. So that thought for most people, not everybody, is built into the factor. It's the same thing with, say, an Evolving Skies booster box. Evolving Skies, shout out to Rattle Pokemon. Rattle Pokemon had to open up 2,300 packs of Evolving Skies in order to pull his Moonbreon. 2,300 packs, what is that, like 94 booster boxes? 2,300 divided by 36, like, I think it was more, whatever, 63 booster boxes worth of packs. Now, when people buy into an Evolving Skies break, that's factored into their price per pack. That price per pack is $15 to $20 to $25, you know, depending on who the breaker is. And it's built in. The reason the price is so low is because the chance of pulling a Moonbreon is very, 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 very small in one single booster box. Now, if that person was selling packs for his break, and now that person can say, I'm selling an Evolving Skies booster box break with a guaranteed Moonbreon hit in it. Now, because you now guaranteed that hit, it causes the price of that booster box and the cost of those packs to go exponentially higher. And that is something after all the brainstorming I've done, I've never one single time thought about that until I just saw Cardboard Collect's comment. But I want to scroll up. You guys hear my thought. Now I want to hear some of yours. Big shout out to number one mod in the game, True. I just scrolled up. I don't know if the chat's going crazy, but I only could scroll up. The Pokekids comment said, PK, you didn't give a shout out to Professor Oak when you sneezed, LOL. I definitely gave a shout out to Professor Oak when I sneezed. So Happy TCG said, definitely for high-end boxes it's going to be worth it, but they won't charge $65. The current model they are offering is dumb and idiotic. I don't think it's dumb and idiotic. I think they're just playing with price points right now. I think in the future we see higher price points, and I think on the lower. I think what people are really, really, really... So, and Happy TCG says, as an authentication service, you cannot be authentic. Like, you can't be an authenticity service for this. You can only present the data. You can never verify authenticity. The only people in this hobby who will ever even consider guaranteeing authenticity guarantees, and the joke is the people that shouldn't be, are the most untrustful worthy people. We're the only ones who ever be dumb enough to put their name on an authenticity guarantee in this hobby, because you can't guarantee authenticity. You just can't do it. The only true guarantee for authenticity in this hobby is to open it, but I just explained through all the repacks and everything. So Retrospect says, I hear Catch 'em All Collectibles has some unscanned Japanese booster boxes for sale on his eBay. Ooh, not what I heard. I heard Dan has now scanned every single booster box he owns. So Happy TCG said, any box under $1,000 is not worth it. Anyway, I'll never send a box to scan to get another box with nothing, LOL. See, I think people are really, really overestimating like the ability to source stuff too. I mean, the amount of so from my understanding too is you send a sealed booster box, you put it in plastic wrapping, and you put your own tamper-proof seals on it. And by putting your own tamper-proof seals on it, they would have to open that bag and pull out your booster box, replace it with a different booster box, but then have ruined your tamper-proof seals. I think you are really kind of going out on a little bit of a ledge. Again, Katie Lowen said, late to the live, but question, does the scanning work on sealed case? I don't know. I only know from the website, and I've only seen booster boxes so far. But, the big thing that they need to open up is blister pack scanning. single pack blisters and 3-pack blisters. 3-pack blisters, it's going to change the game because right now one of the most expensive 3-pack blisters is the one everyone knows. You got like whatever, Dragon Frontiers or Crystal Guardians and a Holland Phantoms pack in it, or some sort of variety of those later Nintendo EX timeline sets. So let's just say from, I don't know, we'll just say from Crystal Guardians all the way up to Power Keepers. You're going to get some variety of 3-packs in those blisters. You see them sell on eBay all the time, but one of the reasons that those blisters sell for such a crazy high premium is, one, the sealed product premium, but more importantly, it's the Gold Star hunt. Gold Star hunt in those 3-pack blisters is a real thing. So those blisters really, really, really make sense. I mean, I can't wait to see the first scan that somebody shows where it's got like a Gold Star Rayquaza in a pack, or it's got, Gold Star, Treco Mudkip from Team Rocket Returns, Like, when's the first time we're going to see, like, a Holland Phantoms pack with a Gold Star Mewtwo? When are we going to see a Crystal Guardians pack with a Gold Star Celebi? Is CTR the first buyer of a scan pack with a guaranteed Gold Star Celebi? Like, it's going to be a very interesting timeline we're going to be running into. And now, non-textured, talking about Gold Stars. If you had to say, what is the biggest gamble in this hobby? If you're going to open any pack, well, you can make an argument for a lot of stuff, but one of the biggest gambles in this hobby is Pop Series 5. And why is Pop Series 5 such a big gamble? Well, in Pop Series 5, there's 17 cards in the set. Number 16 out of 17 is the Espeon Gold Star. Number 17 out of 17 is the Umbreon Gold Star. But the reason why those packs are so expensive is you cannot weigh out Pop Series 5 because the Gold Star Espeon and the Gold Star Umbreon are both non-holos. So all cards in Pop Series 5 are non-holo. And there's only 2 cards per pack. So you have a 17 card set, and the numbers that have been thrown out for about what the pull rate is for a Pop Series Gold Star is about 1 in 40 packs. Gold Star packs float between 500 to 16, Pop Series 5 packs float between $500 to $600. So if you have to open up 40 packs at $500 a piece to open up one Gold Star, that is a lot of money. Now, if you don't pull that Gold Star, you pull a Pikachu riding on the back of a Wilmer. You literally pull you could probably go on TCG Player and source Pop Series 5 cards with the exception of the Espeon and Umbreon for $1 to $2 each. So you spend $500 to open up $2, $3 in expected value. What happens when you can now scan Pop Series 5? Now, that changes everything. And especially if you're doing it in volume. And I know for a fact people have opened Pop Series 5 in value going Gold Star hunting. I've seen it happen. There's videos that exist. So, that will be a game changer. Pop Series 5 packs. The thing is, because they're non-textured, can this technology get to the point where they can now scan through a Pop Series 5 pack and be able to read non-holo, non-textured cards? If that happens, that's a huge Pandora's box. You'll never be able to get that back in. Katie, good to see you. Appreciate it again. Grimer Collect says, imagine being an engineering consulting firm that's now scanning cardboard for way more money. That's Pokemon. Happy TCG says they can't scale CT scans PK. It's not possible. We'll get the CEO. I hope we get the CEO on, and I'll ask him that question. Is this service scalable? And I have a pretty good hunch that he's going to say anything is scalable with enough money. Yeah. Happy says you can't scale this business. The CT scan usage is slow, and even if AI ended up doing the imaging process, the CT scan time is a blocker. I don't know, man. I think you will be very, very. I think if we could get the CEO on, I have a feeling you're not going to enjoy his answers when you ask the question, is this scalable or not? I think his answer is going to be, this is definitely scalable. I've already seen the prices on their website. You can go right now. It's just type in, go to the IIC's website and look at it. The prices are already pretty low. So I think it's definitely scalable. I'm from the standpoint that everything is scalable. There's like almost nothing I think is not scalable. But now, scalable, there will be the dollar amount though. You know, investment cost, new equipment, training new people, hiring new staff. There will be a ton of overhead. But, you know, I mean, you think about PSA if you said in 2015, PSA will be grading millions of cards a year. I think there would be a lot of people saying, I've dropped off cards at PSA. There's no way PSA could ever scale where they can do millions of cards a year. It's not possible. Or 1 million cards a month. PSA could grade 1 million cards a month. I think there's a lot of people out there that would have said for a really long time, it's not possible. PSA can never get to the point, and they can never scale big enough to grade 1 million cards a month. And they have scaled to that, and they can grade 1 million cards a month, and they can encapsulate and receive and ship and do the accounting and source enough plastic. All that is possible. I just don't see this as being something that is not a scalable thing. I mean, I could be wrong. Let's see. And I think if price points get lower enough, it opens up a lot of things, man. Pooping Turtle 69 says, can they see card whitening with the CT scanner? What they give you online, like for you to play around with because they provide like one scan of the Charizard and you can play around with it. I can't even rotate this image on mine to look on the, so I can't even look on the back end. I'm looking at the scan right now. I can't even like look on the back or like turn the card around, but I can play with the pack and move it around, like the coordination. Again, I'm just playing around with this program. I'm sure there's a way where you can like move the actual pack, play around, look at the corners, but I don't know if you should be able to see corner whitening, I would think. And then if you can get the scans good enough, which I don't see why not. I mean, I'm sure there's processes, and I can't even imagine like the tweaking of the system in order to, because you're going to have to tweak it around. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the scan, but I think you could tweak it around enough where you can get more crystal clear images, and then you might even be able to more or less measure centering if they can get the scan quality down good enough. Yeah, I mean, because you could clearly see like the outline of the card, you can see the box, and you can probably, and especially with this, it has rulers and stuff. It has a caliper tool on their thing. With the caliper tool, you should be able to measure the corners. Oh, look, hold on. I will make my screen smaller again because I was just playing around. So if you look right here, this is a little tool. If you look right here where my cursor is, I just clicked on the caliper. Hold on, let me expand this. Sorry, my screen's cropped. So if you look right here where right up at the top, you see this caliper. So I clicked on the caliper tool. It's off now, but now it's on. And if I click, so I click on this caliper, and then look. So the caliper tool actually can measure the border inside of the pack. So look at that, caliper, 12.37 mm. So you could and that's right here. So this and this a caliper tool allowed in their processing. So now if I go to this border and now use the caliper tool, I get 6.92 mm. Now let's look at the other corner of the card. So this is the thing. I think hold on, let's yeah, so 4.8 mm. So it looks like this card might be off center. But like you could actually measure with this caliper tool in there. That's wild. That's a game changer too. You imagine you can now with a caliper tool measure centering in the scan. You can measure centering with a caliper. This hobby's changed. This hobby has changed. What a tool this is. I don't know. I know people don't want to hear it. I'm just being realistic. I'm not going to I'm not lying to you guys. I'm just telling you, like, this is wild. Wild. Anyways, let's see. So Katie Lowen said, hot take prediction. PSA starts to offer booster pack scanning with their booster pack grade, and yeah, that would be huge. I mean, that's got to be expensive. I'm sure PSA is probably already looking into that. This is the thing, too, with like a product like this. I think this is going to be a modern-day Pokemon Gold Rush for a business. The first business that could capitalize... brand building right now is so important for IIC. It's make or break for them. Because right now, they are the industry leader in this. Industry leader doesn't mean anything in the short term. All industry leader means is in the long term. They need to really, really be focusing on the end goal. Big time. And delivering the best possible product they can. And continuing to get better. And continue to keep their pricing competitive too. That's where competition into this space will be super valuable too, because if you do want to see lower scanning prices, the only way you get lower scanning prices is competition. It's that simple. Competition is the beautiful part of this hobby, but man, I'm telling you right now, whoever is first, I mean, they're already first to market, so they're going to become like maybe industry leaders, but it's like PSA. Why? You can make a lot of arguments of why PSA is the industry leader. It's not the slab quality. It's not the frosting on their slab. It's definitely not the PSA label, which is called the flip. That's the label. It's definitely not the PSA label. It's definitely not their, track record on certain cards. It's definitely not a customer service aspect. One of the huge defining factors of why PSA is an industry leader in grading is they entered the market first. PSA was the first company to offer, graded card service at a large scale. They were first to market. And PSA never gave up that market share. That market share is always in danger, though. Luckily, they have good leadership, in my opinion, with Nat Turner. Great management structure, and they're leading that ship in the right direction. But that is one of the biggest factors in PSA's success is first to market. And if IIC could be, well, they are first to market, but if they could continue, be competitive, and then, you keep your prices low enough, you're really going to keep out a lot of competition. Because if people can't scale up the way they've scaled up, I want to get the CEO on. I got to ask him these questions like, what's the infrastructure look like, Because you can go on their website. They were a business before they started scanning Pokemon cards. Like, you can't give up your whole other business. You can't abandon all your other clients. It's got to be fascinating. It's got to be so fascinating. Like, the changing in the dynamic and the culture of that company right now. And the only reason I could say that is because I know with all certainty what the Pokemon hobby is like. This hobby is wild. It's strap your seatbelt on because you're going for a ride. So, I don't know. Like, I want to know. I hope some of you guys in the comment. I'm still scrolling down, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts on, like, am I being stupid in the sense that I just think that this is just can't be put back in? There's no stopping this. And I think that when everybody that really dislikes the thought of it, it's just they want to put the genie back in the bottle. I just don't know if you can. And I'm telling you, this is why I was very hesitant on making this video. But I don't know. Looking at and this product came out so quick from IIC, but I think the reason why IIC was able to put out this product so quick is because they were already a company already offering this service. Well, when I use the word this service, I don't mean scanning Pokemon cards. I mean they were offering this service of scanning products for other industries, for other companies looking for, like, you know, product deficiencies and, you know, issues with packaging and all the stuff that you would need a CT scanner for. They were already built up. They had this infrastructure. And to see in such a short amount of time what they've rolled out with, like, I'm just don't see this ever going away. Sorry. So Catch 'em All Collectibles, he said, no fat. Talking to Fat Belly Collect, says, don't rip them. They're all scan. You will lose. So, PokeSun TCG said, who's behind the evil Catch 'em All Collectibles account? Yeah, good to see you, PokeSun TCG. So, Kid Tammy Collect Card says, agree it hurts Wizard of the Coast packs, but there are still not a lot of boxes that make sense to open for a chase card. I think we will see PSA offer this as an authenticity service. I don't think, maybe. I mean, when Nat Turner came on the channel, he talked about potentially doing authentication for booster boxes. I think the whole Logan Paul first edition fake case really scared a lot of people. I think that's a lot of liability too. So Trey says, if they know the Moonbryon is in that pack, it kind of ruins it. Trey, this is something I thought of that I didn't really even think about. In this hobby, we run into the unfortunate that there's a lot of fickle people in this hobby. There's a lot of people who, they'll have a card. They got this Alakazam. They've looked it over. It's super clean. It's part of their PC. They love this card. They pulled it as they were a kid, and they weren't like every other kid and crumpled this card and stuck it in their back pocket. Their mom taught him how to enjoy trading cards. He put in a penny sleeve, he put in a Card Saber 1, and it sat in his dresser drawer since 2000, what is this, Expedition, since 2002 this card sat undisturbed, and he loved this card more than anything because he pulled it as a kid. And he sends it away, the PSA, and it comes back and it gets a PSA 9. And then that card he loved his whole life, he no longer loves it as much. Not because the card has changed, but because it's not a 10. It's not perfect. It's a 9. It used to be perfect, but then he sent it away and it got graded and it got a 9 and not a 10. And they don't love that card as much, and they don't have the same feeling for it. Trey asked the question, if they know the Moonbryon is in the pack, it kind of ruins it. No, I think there will be a lot of people that will have their packs scanned and they will not enjoy their sealed product as much anymore, because there's always that mystery. Every heavy first edition pack, this is the one that has the Charizard in it. I believe it. It's got the Venusaur artwork. Looking at you, is Pokemon Radar in the chat? It's got a Venusaur artwork. It's a heavy base set pack. I know it's got the Charizard. I believe it in my heart of hearts. And when you get it scanned and it comes back a Ninetales, you still got the fire Pokemon, but it wasn't the fire Pokemon you were looking for in that holo, and maybe it just doesn't feel as good anymore and sitting on that pack. And now you don't want that pack anymore because you lost that chase. That's possible, Trev. Like, that's something I didn't really ever consider, but there's a lot of fickleness that goes on in this hobby. So, Happy TCG said, at the end of the day, things won't change a damn thing for 99% of the case. We'll see. I think it's going to be, I think it's a bigger deal than, I think it's about scaling, though. Uh, let's see. Fresh Tats says, how much will the scanning affect MetaZoo, such a promising TCG? Listen, I still got half a MetaZoo Kickstarter booster box unopened. We haven't pulled the Mothman yet, so it's got to be in one of those packs, right? It's always in the next pack. Listen, the Charizard is always in the next pack. The Moonbreon is always in the next pack. The MetaZoo Mothman, it's always in the next pack. No matter what the chase is, it's always in the next pack. TKK Collector says, I hope scammers aren't as creative, PK. Let's see. So, Poopin' Turtle 69 said, guaranteed Zard probably sells for the BGS 9.5 price. Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting. Like, it's something we've never seen in this hobby. Like, what is a guaranteed first edition base set sealed Charizard pack sell for? You know, how many people out there are sitting on first edition base set sealed blisters? It's a lot. A lot is subjective when you're talking about base set first edition blisters, but there's a lot of people. So it makes sense to scan those blisters. That's a service they're going to have to offer. I looked. The fact that they don't have blister scanning right now is preposterous to me. Like, I feel like that is just uncertainty and inevitability. I don't run these businesses, but I just know that has got to be such a crazy high demand is sealed blisters. But what is a sealed blister with a guaranteed Charizard in it? What does that go for? Because then now you could really add another layer of protection, because now you can check the blister. You can see if the blister is resealed, and then the pack has to be resealed inside, and then usually blister packs, normally, not all the time, but they usually have like pretty good pedigrees, meaning where did they come from? It's very easy to go down the line of knowing where this first edition base set blister came from. I personally, like, off the top of my head, I could easily source over 100 first edition base set blisters. Super easy. A lot of people have full art sets of them. That's why I know I can source a lot. You know, Rev did an entire blister box, first edition blister case open. I know Ryan bought a full art set. I know TCA has a full... Wait, no. Yeah, TCA has a full first edition base set blister pack set. So that's 6 right there, just between 2 people. I know a lot of other people, but I could probably easily source right around 100 first edition base set blisters. And those, like I said, there's a pedigree to them. You know exactly where they came from. Most of the time, you know what cases came from. You know who sold them. You know who bought them. And then you can look at the plastic, and then blisters, while they're not impossible to reseal, they're very, very tough. Obviously, like, there's that big run of shadowless blisters that were resealed, but they were resealed with, like, one of the ways, there's a smell test for them. One of the smell tests you do for resealed first edition blisters is they were resealed with, like, baking glue sticks. Yes, baking, B-A-K-I-N-G, like bake a cake, baking glue sticks. So if you smell the blisters, they have, like, a baking scent to them because of, like, the special type of baker's glue people were using, because the glue on some older blisters just comes off naturally. So shadowless blisters were notorious for just the clamshell of the plastic coming off that blister back. So a lot of people were resealing those. When I say a lot of people, one person was resealing those. See, this is where I gotta, like, catch myself. And are there a million of those that exist? No. But are there a bunch of them that exist? Yes. So, but you now add a added layer where you know that it's a legit pack, you know that it's not tampered with. So now, when I just told you that whole story of the hypothetical of repacking it with a PSA 7 Charizard in a pack, you now eliminate that thought. So now you are guaranteed a pack fresh Charizard. What does it sell for? It's huge premiums. Huge. Let's see. People are talking about One Piece. One Piece, Dragon Ball. That's the thing. When you get into the... real poor usage of words I'm about to use right now, but I'm going to do it anyways. When you get into the more niche-y TCGs, and I don't mean this like in the most obvious way, but I'm going to be like Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh. Be very careful when I say niche-y. They're not that niche-y. I mean, it's just a little bit out of the mainstream in a sense, but like there's a lot of like, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh, like older booster boxes, older packs, you know, Blue-Eyed White Dragon. Like, if you know that card is in there, you now have ton of expected value in a Yu-Gi-Oh. There's a lot of Dragon Ball stuff, especially a lot of the Japanese stuff. English stuff too, but, you know, Japanese, especially when you talk about, you know, seeded booster box for some of these sets, some of these Weiss sets too. Think about Weiss. There's a lot of Weiss sets where it's like one per case or one per a couple cases in order to get the hit. So now if you can actually scan those, especially for this older stuff, where now the expected value goes from $100 to tens of thousands of dollars for some of this stuff. Again, when you talk about huge price increases, it's such, it evaporates like most of the card pool, but it exists for certain products. So there is still like a huge possibility there. I don't know. Let's see. TKK Collector says they release sample software and scan. Yeah, it's right on their website. You just download the software and you download like the one sample scan. You go play around with it yourself and be like, there's the Charizard. Let's see. Let's see. So Skippy FX says, can they scan a sealed booster box case? If not, maybe a case premium will develop. Interesting too. I mean, I would think that a case scan would be that much harder, because you think about when you scan it. So if you're going to scan it from the side, a booster box, a case, you know, you're not scanning that deep into it. But I don't know enough about these CT scans. Can the scan penetrate through 6 booster boxes worth of cardboard and then the outside cardboard shell? So yeah, brings up a great question. Will there be a sealed booster box premium in the future? Professor Oak said they could probably scan a whole pallet if they wanted to. That, I don't know. I don't see that as being possible. Let's see. Be interesting to see what the booster box prices roll out. I want to know, you know, you guys think I don't know, I want to hear what you people guys really think about my thoughts on this, because I just ran through this. I marathon sprinted through my brain and ran through a lot of the different scenarios, and unfortunately I just really hoping IIC doesn't drop the ball on this. I'm hoping that they do the right thing and they figure it out. I hope they reach back out to Rattle and shit. I hope that all this stuff happens. I hope that this hobby is a tough hobby, man. Mason Berry said Pokemon doesn't care about your investment. No, Pokemon cares about stock in Walmart and Target. That's what they care about. Let's see. So Guy from Crowd said, good luck blocking X-rays. The only viable thing cost-wise is lead packaging, and good luck with that. Yeah, I don't see it happening. Yeah, I don't. Let's see. So Old King says other companies will copy them no matter what their answer is. The next company will have different ones. Yeah. And I think that's where competition will be good for an industry like this, because we're going to get pack price, or we're going to get scam prices low. That's why I think first to market is important. It's going to, you know, be about building brand identity. So Happy TCG 2424 said, how you assure the pack you send will be returned to you if it has a $5,000 card inside you? If you look on their website, they literally tell you have to put it in a plastic bag and put a tamper-proof seal on it. Not a tamper-proof seal they provide to you. Your tamper-proof seal. So in order for them to get that pack out, they would have to break your tamper-proof seal. The same way as I told you Rusty put tamper-proof seals on the first edition booster box he sent to Logan Paul, those were his seals with his initials on it. You have to do the same thing. So they would have to break open your pack, replace your pack, and then somehow replace your tamper-proof seals with your like initials on them. I think that's kind of how you would assure, like that's the PSA argument. It's like, how do I know PSA isn't going to swap out my PSA 10 first edition Charizard? Sometimes you just gotta, I don't know. That's a tough one. You just gotta have to trust companies, and the only way you're gonna trust companies is time. People, there's no other answer. They have to build time. McNick says, does enough radiation force a Mega Evolution? So Kikami Card said the best case scenario would be PWCC, PSA, or someone uses the tech for authenticity only and doesn't say what is inside. Like I said, you can use it, but you can't use it as all authenticity. Maybe you can use it as a process in the step, but it can't be. The bus can't stop and end with CT scanning for authenticity. I think it would be a good usage of it, like with a bunch of other things. Because like if you were the reseal Pack, like the thing I tell this story all the time, I hate it when people say you could tell a reseal Pack by the glue. Nobody reseals with glue. Get that out of your mind. Take it out of your mind and throw it away. Throw it in the trash, throw it in the garbage disposal. Take it, bring it out to your front curb, put it in the trash can. Stop thinking people reseal with glue. Nobody reseals with glue. Pokemon packs are heat sealed. People seal with heat sealers. Most people seal with an iron. You flatten out the crimps. Other people use hair straighteners and flatten out the crimps. Then there's ways that you could reseal without flattening out the crimps. Not going to tell you guys how to do that. Enough trial and error. People are going to be able to figure out how to reseal without flattening out the crimps. Because that's what's going to happen when you use an iron. That's what's going to happen when you use a hair straightener. You're going to flatten out the crimps, but there's ways to reseal packs without messing up the crimps. So you're not going to be able to see that with a CT scan because you can't see the heat reseal. If somebody was super dumb and used glue, because they were literally the dumbest person that ever lived in the history of this hobby who was trying to reseal something, and they used glue because they're a moron, that person, you would be able to probably see glue on the packaging because it would stick out like a sore thumb. But, and then where like heat sealing might be able to work on people that use glue for maybe wax packs. I don't know enough about, like, I don't deal in wax packs, but I'm sure wax packs has an ability to be resealed, and probably some people use some sort of adhesive or glue. Or, with these CT scanners, I can definitely see, like, if somebody were to reseal blister packs, like I mentioned, I feel like you could potentially see the glue layer if somebody were to use a different type of glue for the clamshell back onto a blister pack. But I don't know if that's where the bus stops and ends, but I can definitely 100% see where that could be a process in that machine. 100%. Catch 'em all collectibles said, I got to a point, he said, oh no, PK's name and sets in order, yeah. Let's see. So Cardboard Collector said, time for a live with Nat to see when PSA will be implementing this into the authenticity process. This, it's wild because I know I already mentioned it, but it's like we went to bed a week ago and none of this was an issue, and we woke up a week later and it was, so. Let's see. So PokeKid, he works at the Sharpie factory. He said I cut PokeFlute off from getting Sharpies. So Guy from Crowd says it's going to get to the point where people buying expensive vintage packs will have to scan them to make sure the ones they bought weren't scanned already. Yeah, I can see that. Or verifying scans. I mean, it's a weird time. That's Mason Berry said, wait, what did I say? I don't know. I don't even know what part I am in. Mason Berry said the cabal wouldn't have allowed this to get out. Yeah. It's like once stuff gets out, there's no putting it back in. Let's see. So Zero says it's a bit overblown. The pull rates are already garbage. Imagine CT scanning bad pulls by the case. Well, that's a big thing that I don't think I mention in here is Evolving Skies. If you CT scan an Evolving Skies booster box and it has a Moonbrew on it, I think it's EV, meaning you're going to get an expected value out of that box. You're going to pull that Moonbrew out. So a Evolving Skies booster box is, call it $700 raw. A Moonbreon raw is $650 to $700. Those other 35 packs are going to, because now they're no longer in the booster box, so they don't get the booster box premium, but they're still worth $15 a pack. If you pull the Moonbreon out, there's expected value out of Evolving Skies. If you scan Evolving Skies and your hit is what they showed in one of their scans, and it's the Garbodor VMAX, that is your hit in your Evolving Skies box, then yeah, you'll probably have spent whatever their price, $100, $150 to scan a booster box and brick really hard. And then now when you talk about bricking at scale, the same way as they're going to make their money potentially at scale, people will brick at scale, you know. I talked about gold stars earlier in today's video. Somebody has 36 loose packs of Team Rocket returns. Well, your pull rate for a gold star is about 1 out of every 72 packs. So by scanning 36 packs, like, yeah, I mean, that's nice and all. You got about a 50% chance of one of those packs having a gold star when you're talking about 36 of them. 50% chance. But there's still a chance you're going to brick on 36 packs. And now you multiply 36 by 75. That just became a really, really expensive endeavor to get absolutely nothing out of that. And if anything, if now you are being honest and you're going to be transparent that you've now scanned these Team Rocket Returns pack and they don't have any good hits in it, I mean, yeah, maybe you got an EX Moltres or Zapdos or Articuno, you got one of like the cool, whatever, you got one of the cool EXs, then maybe you can sell that pack. But if that Team Rocket Returns pack has some real dud hollow or just nothing in it, then yeah, you're going to lose a ton of money scanning packs. And then in fact, you're actually going to take a unweighed like Team Rocket Returns pack, which floats between $800 and $1,000 depending on the seller and depending on what hit is in or is not in that. You could in theory take a $800 sealed pack unscanned and bring that and make it more or less like, I see, this is where the sealed pack collector comes in, I don't know, but you would like drastically cut the value of that pack. So Poopin' Turtle 69 said, I feel like the rate, that's a crazy name. He says, I feel like the rate of ripping packs might slow down on the highest end, which will slow down sealed growth somewhat. I mean, that's an interesting take. So one of the beautiful things that people say about sealed product is constantly becoming less and less, because as people open it, what's left on the market just becomes that much more scarce, that much more rare, and then inherently price is going to go up because of those two factors. But yeah, if people stop opening, it could potentially stagnate sealed product price. I could see where that would be like a decent argument to put out. Guy from crowd said, we need PK to slip into his listing specific things for a long time rants. Those are my favorite, yes. Mason Berry says, do you all know how long it takes to analyze CT scans? You'll see these security lines at the airports, right? I have no clue how fast it does or does not take to analyze a CT scan. So Evan Williams says, I worry sealed product won't have potential to gain any more value once it's reached prices that make sense for it to be scanned. Bye 10 plus year investment. That's an interesting take. But you got to keep in mind like the bricks. And when I say the bricks, meaning when your booster box, you brick so hard on the expected value of that booster box that you've literally turned that booster box into a brick, because at that point it's a doorstop. So I don't think you could like mass scan a lot of this cheap stuff at scale. At least not yet. At least not with their current price model. And again, they have even their booster box price is still, you know, to be determined. So Catch 'em All Collectible said, sealed product gigabrain so hard to turn it into just buying the raw card you want, but at a 5x premium. Yeah. Basic Trainer says, I'm changing careers and becoming a pack breaker. So Guy from Crowd said, I'm becoming a CT scanner. I just need to learn how to get X-ray vision. Listen, I got a pile of comics over there in the back, and I'm pretty sure at the last page of most of those comic books, you can send away for free X-ray specs. So you might want to do that. Oh no, jump to the bottom. Jump to the bottom. Whoa, I'm deep down. Whoa, I'm not even close. Let's see. Somebody I saw real quick before I scanned down, it said, Rudy thinks Magic is safe for now. I don't know. For now. Now is subjective. We went from a week ago, no cards could be scanned, to now, a lot of things could be scanned. What does tomorrow bring? What does a week from now bring? What does a year from now bring? You know, Dan's favorite quote is in Pokemon, don't underestimate artists' ability to art. Don't underestimate technology's ability to technology. Something like that. We'll go along something along those lines, because don't underestimate technology in this hobby. Let's see. So Mason said, if this was even something being done for a few years, why didn't Logan scan his key? Listen, I never heard of anyone doing this. Evan Williams says, yeah, the cat's out of the bag. YouTube videos will start coming out. My CT scan return. Yeah. You got my PSA return. You got my CT scan return. Yeah. So he said, people will sell packs with scan confirmed Moonbryon or such at extra pack fresh premium on the single, maybe. What is a guaranteed Moonbryon pack sell for? Like, this is thing we're in new uncharted territory in this hobby. Conversations that never were had, because it's not a conversation that could be had. But now it is. So what does a guaranteed Moonbryon pack sell for? PSA 10 sell for $1,200. Raw cards sell for $700. Knowing this hobby, because this hobby doesn't make any sense, and I've tried to navigate this hobby my entire life, but probably sell for $1,300. It would sell for greater than the PSA 10 premium, because there's just a group of wild people out there. I mean, that's probably a ridiculous statement, but I know some people out there who do irrational things. You know, one of the packs that I watched open, I was in person open. I watched, I think it was 3 or 4 FPO packs were sold. So if you don't know what FPO packs were, they were 4 position only cards. Came out of the WotC factory. They were put into legendary collection packs, but they only had 5 cards in it. But it actually was in the legendary foil packs, and then when you open it up, there's call them FPO cards, 4 position only. They were test print kind of cards, like Arbok, Clefairy, and then the Blastoise, and they're all expedition cards, but they're in legendary collection packs. Yeah, I know. Doesn't make sense, but it's all true. But anyways, the big chase for that, the big FPO card, is a Charizard. And I watched as multiple FPO packs were open and not a single Charizard was pulled. But now, if all those FPO packs were scanned and you could guarantee that there were no Charizards in it, it would have made more sense to sell those packs raw than it would have made to open those, knowing there was no Charizard in it. So when you have something like an FPO pack that costs thousands of dollars per pack for just 5 cards, it makes a ton of sense to scan a pack like that. So PokeDad Sam says, I think there will be plenty of green wing scams and triangle pack scams. They know the box isn't shadowless now and can sell it as possible still. Yeah, that's the thing too, is so what PokeDad Sam is saying, so guaranteed shadowless boxes, like there's a couple guaranteed. Shadowless is like a tricky, so 2 ways to guarantee shadowless is clear cellophane wrap, very similar to first edition base set, but also the Charizard on the side of the box to have the green wing Charizards. When you have those 2 things, green wing Charizard plus clear cellophane wrap, you are guaranteed shadowless packs. Now, there's also some green wing Charizard boxes that don't have shadowless packs in it, and then there are also some green wing Charizard boxes that have the Wizard of the Coast wrapping on it that do. Because at the end of the day, you got to keep in mind, Pokemon, this was just packing supplies for them. So it wasn't as crazy as some people hope it is, but a lot of people will sell green wing Charizard boxes as guaranteed shadowless. But in reality, there's unlimited cards in there. We've seen it happen before. It's pretty rare for that to happen, but it definitely does happen. So, like, the only way you can know for a box like that for all certainty is you have to open it up and verify the contents of it. Now, we've also seen shadowless packs that have shadowless hollows in it, and the commons and uncommons are first edition. I want it, or no, was it uncommon? Maybe it was just the commons. We've seen shadowless packs that have, I think it's shadowless hollow, shadowless uncommons, and then the commons were first edition. There's like a change in, again, the children playing card game printed in mass at a crazy time of production. And then when he talks about the black triangle packs have unlimited cards in it, but they use the first edition pack wrappers because they had extra first edition pack wrappers, but they ran out of first edition cards. So in order to save the pack wrappers, all they did was they just put this little triangle over the first edition stamp. It wasn't always perfect. Sometimes the triangles like move to the side and you could still see that first edition stamp. But those packs hold a premium just because of the sealed value of the pack itself, because it's like part of people's booster pack collection. So if you can scan through a box and know that there's, black triangle packs in it, that's actually a box that makes more sense to open that box and sell the packs individually. So that is something you might actually see happen in the future too, where now somebody wants to scan their base set unlimited, because those black triangle boxes, there's no way to definitively tell with 100% certainty you're going to get black triangle packs. So now if somebody could scan that box, they could scan and know, oh, these are black triangle packs. I don't want to sell this for the normal unlimited base set price. So PokeDad Sam, you're right there. There's a lot of layers to this conversation. There's a lot of layers of what people are going to want to scan, So Gackle A says, assuming booster box scanning is closer to the $65 pack cost, somewhere close to $200 a booster box, very few vintage booster boxes would be impacted by this. Well, if booster box scanning was $200, then all vintage booster boxes are affected by this. To be able to scan, they're all base set, you can definitely justify spending $200. First edition shadowless unlimited, yeah, you could. People are gonna get mad if I start to list all the sets, but almost every vintage set at $200 a booster box makes sense to scan and to at least map it out. Let's see. So Hackzack says, thought, how the hell do you avoid getting scammed buying a guaranteed hit scan pack and getting a dud pack? Big scams ahead. So you're saying, ooh, that's interesting. So now you're saying, somebody will scan a pack. They're going to get that pack back. They're going to get that pack with Charizard scans in it, or a scan of a Charizard. Then they're going to sell a different pack, including their Charizard scan, and saying, hey, I scanned this pack, guaranteed Charizard. Maybe, but man, that is opening up a can of worms for whoever wants to do that. That's a tough one. I don't think that will happen. So Hacksack says, I work in healthcare and review imaging such as CT scans. They said they just give you the scans to navigate. That will be very difficult for someone to navigate card by card on a booster box. Yeah, definitely. I mean, 360 cards. You'd have to be familiar with the process. So Evan Williams says, once competition comes around, I feel like it has to get way cheaper. No way the first company would undercut themselves. Maybe. Fresh Chat says, competition is healthy for the hobby. Let's see. Let's see. Honestly, I think this is more detrimental for One Piece with their $2,000. Oh, yeah. You know what? One Piece is one of those ones, too, where we talk about the Moonbreak. I mean, that's one of people's arguments with Pokemon is, while Pokemon is great and all, it has great resale value, a ton of value associated with it. The problem is the big Pokemon chases for Modern are $700. And when you look at some of these other TCGs, like One Piece, yeah, you have a $2,000 chase. So some of those booster boxes, you know, we get so wrapped up in Pokemon. I think this hobby is just, and when I say hobby, I mean trading cards, I mean sports. It's just so massive. This is a huge potential for this company. Pokey Chef said, Pokey Kid, you work at the Sharpie factory. Big fan of Sharpies over here. Let me know if you need a sponsor. Let's see. So Roxanne says, if it's $75 a pack, I think it'll be way more per box, to be honest. Maybe like 300. 300 might be on the low end. I don't know. I see, this is where I would like to get the CEO and ask him, you know, how much longer does it take to scan a booster box opposed to a pack? Is there a difference? I don't know. Can you scan a case? Does it take that much longer? You know, does it take, if you were to scan a blister pack, does it take longer than a pack? Does it take longer than a booster box? Or is it just the CT scanner puts the object on the platform in the middle? It rotates around. It takes however many, call it shots or photos or whatever, what do you want it, scans, call it scans. Takes X amount of scans to rotate around this pack or booster box, and those scans are the same amount of scans for a booster box or a pack, and the time it takes for that imaging tool to rotate around the box is the same. I don't know these answers, but that would be interesting too, because then, if that is the case, obviously there will be a premium for the booster box, but does it have to be, you know, when you say 75 to 300, that's a pretty big, substantial increase in price. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, Rock, that's a great question. I don't have the answer to it, but these are questions I want to know the answer, but I don't even know what the transparency, if anything, would be. People asking, is PK going to the Secret Cabal meeting on Friday? I will be there. For those of you that don't know, the Cabal meeting Friday, but I'll be flying into Charlotte for Collecticon on Friday. Fly out super in the morning, and I fly back home on Saturday evening. So if you guys are around at Charlotte for Collecticon, I'll be around Friday night. I'm busy during the day but I will be around Friday night, and then Saturday during the event I will be around, and then I have to go back to the airport and fly out. So while that was a joke, it's also kind of true. Pokemon Collector says, damn, PK is still alive. Whew. Have I been ranting that long? Sorry, guys. So number one says, we don't even scan your cards, we just filter photos and send you stock images in return. If you read the fine print, we can't send you the product back either way. So Poop and Turtle says, can they scan non-hollow textured card? Trying to think of an alternative to hollow card, maybe plastic. Yeah, I don't know enough about it yet. I think they're working. Well, I could read their press releases. It looks like they're working on non-hollow cards right now. Let's see. Oh, jump to the bottom again. So Polkadot Sam said, Magic with serialized cards now, and the crazy neon ink cards and textured craziness going to be some larger hits on these collector boxes. Well, that's the thing too, is the more added things they do to these cards to make them flashier and bigger, it actually has the detriment for these companies, because now all the stuff that have the flashy texturing, the flashy serialized stuff, the flashy inking, the flashy stuff is actually now going to be easier to see on scans. So it's funny, it's like the hobby went to what everybody wanted, which was flashier textured cards, but it might be the death of these cards, and maybe only we'll have to go back to the non-hollow because those are the unscannable cards. So maybe in the future your big chases might be non-textured, who knows? If Pokemon was really listening and Magic the Gathering still wants to do another one of the one ring card in the future, and they know the only way that they could keep that one of one ring card safe is to make it non-textured, maybe that happens in the future. Who knows? Maybe we have to literally shift our thinking to the chase being flashy and textured and full art and shiny to now being the big chases dull and non-textured and non-shiny. Maybe that's where we have to go as a hobby. I don't know. Let's see. So MGS says, only good thing that can come from this is everybody loses faith in sealed, and we all go back to buying and opening boxes like the good old base set days and not hoarding anything anymore. Good luck. People will never stop hoarding this stuff. This is interesting. So Stark says, and see, this is stuff I don't know. He said, One Piece cases can also be mapped. So the booster boxes in the case that are known to have the SPs or alt leaders will be checked first, so probably will be easier when it comes to One Piece. Interesting. See, I didn't know all that. I'm just not deep enough in the One Piece market to know that cases were mappable, but I'll take your word for it. Alright. Anyways, guys, I think I kind of made it to the bottom. I know I skipped a lot at the end, but somebody mentioned, wow, PK's still going live. I didn't know. I didn't realize I was ranting nonstop like an absolute madman for 2 hours and 16 minutes. Listen, all I could say is this is my Jerry Springer final thoughts. I think this is going to be big. I think this is the future of the hobby. I don't think you could, no matter what you want to say, the Pandora's box, can't close it, put the genie back in the bottle, whatever you want to say. I think it's just too late. I think the hobby is just going to grow and adapt, and we're just going to move forward. And the same way as once upon a time pack weighing wasn't a thing and people didn't disclose whether a pack was heavy or light, just in the future people might look back at CT scanning and being like, man, do you imagine there was a day when people used to not know what the hit was in some of this stuff? I think it will just become more transparent. I think that those people that are really good people in this hobby will continue to run their business ethically, and the people that are really shitty people and are doing really poor things for the overall health of this hobby will just take advantage of it. It's just part of adapting. I don't have a perfect answer for it. It's just, this is the future. It's not going away. If it wasn't IIC to be the first company to scan these, it was probably going to be somebody else, and it will probably be somebody else too. I don't think it doesn't end with them. This isn't the first and last. This is just the beginning. I think the hobby as we know it changes. I don't think this is the death of the hobby. I don't think everything gets scanned instantly in the pack opening experience, and you can't buy from Walmart and Pokemon Center and your trusted LGS and your trusted eBay seller and your P-Football Pete's. I don't think you got to worry about stuff like that. I just think in the future this has to be in the back of people's minds. It's going to start with first edition base set blisters, and then it's going to eventually evolve into other stuff with enough time. Time is king in this hobby. Again, Father Time is undefeated. He'll never lose. Longer time goes on, more stuff is going to be scanned. The hobby's changed. Transparency is going to be so important, and It's gonna be a good ride. I'm all in for it. But as always, guys, I will, to quote PokeDad, I will CT scan you later.